Hello, everyone. It is so nice to be back here at All That Matters for this very special 20th anniversary edition. I am also very especially excited to be moderating this panel with Tom Windish, EVP of Wasserman Music. My name is Priya Dewan. I am the founder and CEO of Gig Life Pro, which is a platform built for music creatives and professionals to help them grow through connections, through advisory events, and content. Tom, we got to get right into it because I know everybody's got a lot of great events to attend afterwards, but I'm so excited to have the opportunity to hear your story and present it in front of everyone. I've known you also for about 20 years. At the time at Warp Records in New York, you were building Windish Agency, and even back then, you were a pioneer of touring artists from the UK and Europe, a lot of our roster, and really helping us build the career of those artists with their live strategies. So I'm pretty sure you started doing that before I met you, and I know that you have expanded doing that since. So talk us a little bit through why global, when did it start, and where all do you reach now?
So I've been booking tours for about 30 years. I had a company before Windish Agency called Bug Booking. The only bands that would work with me were ones that literally nobody else would book. And I called it Bug because I had to bug people so much to book them.
Their mistake, clearly.
But one of those bands went on to sell 1 million records a couple years after I signed them. Another band I still book called Lorde, who played my wedding. Yeah, it developed well. Then I joined an independent agency called Billions, and then left and started Windish Agency. I've been obsessed with shows since I was in high school. I was putting on shows in high school, and then in college I put on shows there. Totally obsessed with that. I got an internship at William Morris when I was a sophomore, and second day of my internship or something, I was like, this is what I want to do with my life, and I got fired 2 weeks later.
That's amazing.
It's not easy to get fired from an internship,
You clearly
by the way.
still stuck with it, so congrats to you.
And so I, even though, it was always like kind of hard to sign acts when I was younger and didn't have like big artists on my roster. So my strategy was to like look to places that my peers, agents, were not looking. So that meant going to the UK or more like France, Sweden, Norway, Japan.
Wow, even back then.
Yeah. I booked Chibomato about 25 years ago. Another band called Boredoms, Buffalo Daughter. So I was really into Japan from a really early age. Japan was actually the first foreign country I went to besides Canada, which was only a few hours away. And the reason I went there, I was about 25. I didn't really start traveling until I was like a little older. There was an ad in the New York Times about this big, and it said $1,000, 5-night hotel in Tokyo and a round-trip ticket with a phone number. And
that's amazing.
It was actually like a government promotion,
Wow.
went 25 years ago. And I did it, and I went on tour with the John Spencer Blues Explosion in Japan, and that's where I met Naoki Shimizu, and he was...
So you went on tour back then? Like on multiple cities in Japan?
Yeah, I went to like Tokyo and Osaka, but they went all over they were huge there. It was really, really cool, and I absolutely loved it. The reason that I have been signing bands from maybe less traditional countries is really just kind of somewhat simple business and also just interest musically that my peers were not paying attention to it. I started going to Korea about 15 years ago, and this is one of the things that still drives me and probably is one of the most satisfying things for my ego still, which I try to really dumb down, but finding things that the rest of the business is not paying attention to, and that like they might say, nobody will care about that, and really just ignore it. I really enjoy when that kind of stuff blows up. So like that goes back to even Low. this band is like plays incredibly slow music. And if you played it for like pretty much anyone in the business back then, they'd be like, "There's no way that'll do well." And it's like,
Similar to Warp, though, right? Like a lot of obscure bands, but then you went on to doing some pretty amazing things with K-pop, right? Like, weren't you one of the first people to really bring K-pop in a big way to America?
yeah, I mean, I remember going to see Big Bang when no one I knew was talking about K-pop, and seeing an arena full of people in Las Vegas. And thinking, this is a great show, and these fans are incredibly psyched. Besides the ego part, like I want to give artists from everywhere the same level of service that artists from more normal, traditional places get.
Or your places, the people, that like your local market. You want to give them basically the same service that you would give a North American artist, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Or some band from the same treatment that Coldplay got the first time they came to the United States, which is really like a small group of people just looking out and making sure that everything is right.
So, I mean, speaking of like first time entering a market, what do you think that an artist or their management team should have in place for that artist ahead of doing a live show there? Like, what boots on the ground do you recommend having in place?
I mean, I think having a plan, having a group, talking and forming a group of people that you trust that are going to be part of your team to make that plan happen. I mean, I would start like doing things with social media before you just go there and play shows. And a big indication of whether or not there's interest is not just Spotify data, but are there fans in the countries you're planning to go to? Are they saying, "When are you coming here? I want to see you"? I'm still amazed by how few artists, and it's not just artists from, say, Asia, but from anywhere, are really paying that close attention to it. They look at the data.
Both ways, right? Like, because obviously, like, we've heard a lot, like, even the panel before about, like, social media, how it's different here, and trends are different here, right?
I'll say to managers and artists, ask your fans, do you want to see me? Where do you live? Click here and give me your email address and zip code. It's not that hard. About 5% do it. The ones who do will come to me and say, I have 300 people said they want to see me in New York. Well, that's good to know, because I have other artists that don't do that, and we put up a show and they sell 50 tickets. I don't only work with bands that sell 50 tickets, it could be
definitely not with some of the artists they mentioned earlier.
Yeah. A mistake I think artists make is they compare themselves to artists that are kind of on the same level where they're from, and look at like the things that those people are doing at the level they're at now and saying like, I need to do that. So they're playing a place that fits 10,000 people and they're charging $80. I need to play at the place that fits 10,000 people and I need to charge $80.
Definitely see a lot of that trend, right? Is like people not being able to really understand their ticket value based on the data that they have from whether it's like comparative data to other artists, like you mentioned, or digital data or what have you. But so many artists are so excited and want to play that like major festival, global festival so badly that they're prepared to either play like the opening slot as like part of a export grant, or even worse, like invest in like being part of like a partner stage at a big festival. So what's your kind of take on that? Do you think that that's a good strategy? Do you recommend another strategy?
That's, yeah, I see this a lot. Like people, they want to play festivals. There's a real strategy to how you get festivals at a time when they're going to actually really help you. And it's not just going and playing the one that you pay to play or that pays you nothing and you play when the doors open up. That's going to be a waste of time and a big waste of your money and is not going to lead to a bigger audience down the line. The way you get really meaningful festival opportunities is by developing a fan base and developing a live fan base by playing smaller venues. And this is what artists who headline festivals also did. Ed Sheeran and Coldplay and whoever else went and played for 200 people in then 4 and 5 and 1,000 and 2,000, they did these things.
It's a very good point, actually. I don't think that there's any like European artist that's just come into America like playing 5,000 tickets, right?
Yeah, I mean, things are a little different these days. Crazy things happen a little more often than they used to, but
Not a strategy.
usually
basically.
when like those things happen, everyone kind of knows like this is a big deal, or at least the people involved in the business really get it. And there's probably a lot of fans saying when you come in here on the socials too.
Definitely. And they're probably engaging with those fans on socials as well, right? Because just because something goes viral, like you mentioned, on the audio side, on the master side, doesn't mean that it necessarily translates to ticket sales.
Not at all. I mean, no one has figured out the algorithm between streams and ticket sales yet. It's a tricky one. I mean, I do think it's a good idea to choose markets that you want to invest in and develop live, and then have like more like a 3 or 4 year strategy on how you're going to build, how you're going to afford to go there the first time, but also a second time and a third time. It's not until the third or fourth trip that you might start making some money. And every trip you should you want to have the money you're investing be worth it. You know, you want to make the most out of that money that you're spending.
Yeah, I mean, most agents are really just have spent their entire career that I've met, spent their entire career in the live side of the industry and never really had the opportunity to understand the release side, marketing and promoting an artist from that side. But when touring came to a terrible halt a few years ago, I was really excited when you reached out and told me that you had started a label and management company. How do you think that doing that has affected your ability as an agent?
It's fantastic. You know, I had a lot of time on my hands. I rebooked a lot of tours a lot of times. That was pretty soul-sucking. But I really took advantage of that time and started putting out records because I like to learn things by doing them, not just by hearing about how it's done. And I had never put out a record. And not that I didn't have respect for people who put out records, but I respect them a lot more because it's so hard, especially when you're investing money to try and get some sort of return. It's super, super hard. I mean, I don't put out records now. I'm not really that excited or interested in doing it because it's so hard. And
thank goodness we're touring again.
And management, my God, it is one of the hardest jobs on the planet. I think, I remember there was so much talk about mental health services for artists. I think there should be mental health for managers because
the entire industry, actually, everybody.
Artists wake up and they get told you're great and everything's going to be awesome. You know, managers wake up and they're told what the hell are you doing? You know, you screwed this up, you screwed that up. It's brutal. And I mean, the job description has every year seems to double again about what you're responsible for. It's insane.
I mean, that also, a lot of people here don't really understand what an agent does in general, right? And just assumes oh, they're just booking shows, right? But obviously, you especially with the experience that you've had with the management and the label, what exactly do you do and what sets you apart from other global agents?
I didn't realize until literally 2 months ago how much people didn't understand what I think an agent does. My definition of what an agent does. It wasn't until I was on a Zoom with an artist from Korea a few months ago with another friend of mine that I brought in who's more of a manager, label, marketer, because this band had needed a lot of help with that. It's not ready for shows. And he started talking about what he did as an agency. And a light bulb went off, wait a sec, that's not an agency, but it is, It's
a different kind of agency, but you're right, the term agency gets used pretty across, whether you're a PR agency, a marketing agency, a booking agency.
Yeah, and there's a lot of confusion about what it is that we do. And I've heard a lot of people think we do certain things like help with features or collaborations, which like American booking agencies and UK ones have nothing to do with. The most we'd have to do with that would be like sending you an email address of a manager or something like that. We know a lot of people, but primarily we're responsible for developing the live side of the business, which is a really important part of a lot of artist businesses, I would say. There's also promoters, and I think here there's less understanding, like, well, why do we need an agent? Why would we pay them? We already have these promoters. Like if I'm from, say, Korea and I play in Korea, I don't work with an agent. You don't need an agent when there's not that many cities that you need to go and develop a career in. In America and Europe, there's a lot of different cities. Just figuring out how you get in between them is a little tricky. Much less like who's the right company to work with in each place.
There's also a lot more competition. I mean, I feel like the recent kind of Coachella announcement kind of reminded me of the pressure around the importance of like billing to artists and things like that, right? I mean, there's so much more, I feel like, strategy work that you guys do that people are not aware of.
We book a lot of artists at Coachella. I have a lot of artists that want to play Coachella.
A lot. You book like most of the artists at Coachella, right?
Well, maybe half. But there's a real strategy to how you're going to get that, and a big part of it is selling tickets and being able to prove to the promoter why they should book you instead of the other 2,000 artists that also want to play and have pretty good reasons about why they should play too. There's doing business with the company that books Coachella, but even that doesn't mean you're just like a sure thing. They book many venues, tons and tons of shows. It's who you work with in each city, which festivals those people control is part of it, but also like just what's the right place to play that's going to give your fans the best experience at that particular time, because a great experience is going to hopefully lead to a bigger show the next time, and then a bigger show the next time after that. And those venues in America are not all controlled by one or two companies, and it's the same with Europe.
That's actually a very good point. There's so many players in the market as well, right?
There's a ton, yeah.
And I know we don't have very much time left, Tom, but I think everybody here would really love to know what excites you the most about the region right now.
I mean, I think the other day someone was like, why do you care so much about artists from here? I'm just into like music that, like I said in the beginning, a lot of people in my business would not think would do well and would not like support. Stuff that's just a little bit different, but then I want to help it do great. And man, those people have been wrong so many times now, and I love that. It's a fun challenge, and music coming from here is incredible. It's incredible everywhere, I'm finding bands from so many different countries playing all sorts of styles. I don't book one type of thing.
Yeah, and even for like the professional talent, like when you meet somebody who is representing a brand, like what strikes you and like what makes you excited about that person?
I mean, for one, like a curiosity, an interest in like working together, collaborating, going for it, doing work, asking the right questions, I tell everyone, like, try to figure out how many fans you have in these, real fans. How many people want to buy a ticket? You can do that by asking your fans. You don't need to know every single one, but just some is an indication. Not that many people do things like that, or even paying attention to socials, and are you making posts locally for the countries that you want to go visit and develop? Or are you trying to collaborate with people in those places? Who else are you talking to?
I feel like a big takeaway is like the relationship that you have with the managers that you work with is not as transactional, I think, as people.
We're in a partnership.
Seem to think.
We are in a partnership. We're on the same team, 100%.
Yeah.
And we can get hired or fired like in a second. There's not a contract with what we do. Yeah, we're on the same team. We have the same goal, you know. And if we aren't doing a good job, then we're out the door. That doesn't happen often because we do a really good job.
That's terrific. Seems like a really great place to end with a few seconds left on the timer clock. I think we were the only ones who managed to get it in on time, Tom. Thank you very much. Big round of applause here for Tom Windish for sharing his incredible global journey that's led him to Wasserman. And everybody enjoy the rest of your time here. Tom, thanks again for being such a great Gig Life Pro member, and